Howdy folks, and welcome to the Ultimate Dungeon and Arena tank build. I've developed this build over a period of time. I've tried different races, different classes, different gear setups, and this is the end result. So this is a Nord NECROMANCER. Nord because of this, Stalwart. When you take damage, you gain 5 ultimates. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. A Necromancer because of the Colossus, which is hands down the best ultimate in the game right now, in my opinion. For the stats, I'm using 44 points in health, 20 points in stamina. You can mix and match these however you prefer. If you feel like you need more health, you can put more points in health. But right now I'm sitting at 44k health, 25k stamina, and 21k magicka. I'm using the Bewitched Sugar Skulls food, which can be a bit expensive. So instead of that, you can use Crown Fortifying Meal, which you should have a ton of from the daily rewards, login rewards. Or you can just go and buy in guild stores any purple tri-stat food that will do the job. I'm also now it's stage 1, but usually when I'm tanking I'm stage 3 vampire because of the undeath passive. And the Wonderstone is the Archonarch for magic recovery. This build uses a lot of magic skills and abilities, so this is extremely useful. Now for the sets, everyone kind of agrees these days that Yolnacreen is the best tanking sets that you can get in the game, especially for trials. It's for the 5th piece bonus. When you taunt an enemy, you give yourself and 11 group members minor courage for 15 seconds, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 215. It can occur once every 8 seconds. What I use instead of that is Magma Incarnate. It gives you magic recovery, brilliant, stamina recovery, very nice. And when you heal yourself for a group member with a single target heal ability, you grant the lowest health group member within 28 meters minor courage and minor resolve. This applies the same buff as Yolnacreen. The difference is that with Yolnacreen you can keep the buff indefinitely because it lasts for 15 seconds and it can occur once every 8 seconds. With Magma Incarnate there is a 5-second cooldown, which makes it slightly worse than Yolnacreen. But it's a 2-piece monster set. You don't have to sacrifice 5-piece sets for that. So for trials, Yolnacreen, yes. For dungeons and arenas, Magma Incarnate works fantastic. Now the second set that I use is Crimson Oath, which gives you armor, health, armor, and casting an ability, drinking a potion, or using a poison that applies major or minor buff to yourself or an ally, sends out a wave of energy that reduces the armor of nearby enemies within 12 meters by 3.5k. This can also be up indefinitely because it lasts for 15 seconds and it can occur once every 12 seconds. You can get this bonus from different skills, different abilities, like this one, right? That was the proc. This one as well procs the Crimson Oath. So there's several ways to get the debuff. Now the main set that this build is designed around is Arcasis. What this gives you is health, armor, health, and whenever you drink a potion while in combat, you and 3 group members gain 43 ultimates. Now, I use reduced block cost and 2 reduced prismatic enchants or glyphs on the jewelry. But if you use reduce potion cooldown glyphs, the base potion cooldown is 45 seconds, so you can get it down to 30 seconds, and this effect can be up almost 100%, which means that every 30 or 45 seconds everyone in the group gets 43 ultimates. Now, I've seen this in action with 2 other necromancers, and it was a pure insanity. There was a Colossus up every like 25-30 seconds. So stuff was dying left and right. It was really fun to watch. So Arcasis is the bread and butter of this build. Now the second set, which is in my opinion the best set for tank they've added in the game in a long time, is the Vateshran one-hand and shields. It comes from Vateshran Hollows, which is down here in the reach. If you don't have the DLC, you can use Arcasis on your front bar as well, but this is something that is invaluable for this build, this particular build. DKs have chains to pull enemies. Every other class uses this silver leash. But the issue I have with both of these abilities is that this one costs stamina and DK chains cost magicka. And as a tank, you don't want to drain your resources unless you absolutely 100% need to. And with the silver leash and chains, what you have to do is chain this guy, chain this guy, chain this guy, then chain this guy and this guy and this guy, which takes time and drains away your resources like crazy. With the Vateshran one hand and shield, all you have to do is bash this guy, and everything within 12 meters gets pulled towards you. Now it can be a bit tricky to use because you don't want to bash the first guy you see, because if you're coming from this side, there's no one here, no enemies on this side. So if you bash this guy can be, well, not in this case, but this guy can be too far away and he doesn't get pulled. So it takes a bit of practice, because what you want to do is run into the group and bash the guy in the middle. Right? That way you can guarantee everything around within 12 meters gets pulled towards you. This set also applies Major Maim. Now there is another tanking set, Ice Reach, Banished Torment. This applies Major Maim as well, but it applies it only to one enemy. Vateshran one hand and shield applies it to everyone within the 12 meter range. Everyone. So this set is just fantastic. Now the skills that I use on the front bar is the Hungry Scythe, which is your single target heal to activate your Magma Incarnate. This heals you, this deals some damage, but you don't really care about that, you're a tank. But this heals you for 6.6k and 2.2k for each additional enemy, up to 5 times. And then you get a heal over time after that for 900 health every 1 second for 5 seconds. What you can use instead of this is the Spirit Mender, which provides you with damage, 10% damage reduction, but I use this one. The next skill is the Bash. Right? This is what you do to pull enemies towards you. Next one is your Root. Now with this, what you want to do is, let's imagine Molag Bal is our group. So what you want to do is run into the group of enemies, bash this guy, pull everyone, turn around and hit this. It will snare the enemies root them in place, and also if you aim it at your group and you hit your group with it, it provides them with Empower, which increases the damage of their light attacks. Absolutely fantastic skill. The next skill is Heroic Slash for more ultimates, because why not? Pierce Armor is your melee taunt, gives you minor and major breach, some damage. And the ultimate on the front bar is Renewing Animation. Now, when you're doing a new content, new DLC dungeons, or new arenas, it's inevitable that your group will start dying because you don't know the mechanics, you've never been there. Your group will start dying, and instead of trying to res one by one by one, what you do is you pop your ultimates, and everyone in this big giant circle gets resurrected, and you restore resources, 5.3k magic and stamina for each ally. Right, so this is like, Necromancers are the best class for any content in the game right now, especially tanking. The back bar is Necrotic Potency, because more ultimates, we want that. Blockade of Frost is there to debuff the enemies with the Crusher. Enchant, on the front bar I use Weakening Enchant, because why not apply Major Maim, Minor Maim, and then reduce the damage of anything you hit even more. But on the back bar, Crusher Enchant, it debuffs all the enemies standing inside the Wall of Frost. Next skill is the Boneyard, which debuffs groups of enemies with Major Breach. Now there is another morph that you can actually use with the Boneyard that will allow you to use the Grave Robber synergy by yourself, which can be extremely useful in, for example, Dragonstar Arena with the last boss, when you have to take the 4 mini-bosses away. You have no healer to give you synergies, you're all by yourself, and that's the time when you could appreciate this, you know, having a synergy every 30 seconds. But I don't have issues with that, so I use this one, this morph that debuffs groups of enemies. Next skill is the Beckoning Armor. I use this one because when you use it, it activates the Crimson Oath, and sometimes when you bash the group of enemies, they all get pulled, but there can be one guy over here, and that guy can be beyond the 12-meter range. It can be like archer, spellcasters, frost mages, that kind of stuff. So what you do, you activate your Beckoning Armor, you pull everyone, and then when this guy hits you with that guy over there, this guy hits you with a projectile, he gets pulled as well. So you make sure that everyone gets pulled. And the last skill is Enrage. That's the range taunt. There is a taunt built in the Destructive Clench, or the Clench morph, but the issue I have with this is the range is only 15 meters, so I don't use this. I use Enrage. It gives everyone a synergy. Beautiful. And the bread and butter of this build, Colossus. That's basically the best thing that you can give to your group, the Colossus. It gives you major vulnerability for 15 seconds, 3 seconds for the duration of the Colossus, and 12 seconds after that. This is the best ultimates in the game. So there are other sets that you can use. If you, for example, cannot use Vateshran One Hand and Shield, you don't have the DLC or ESO Plus, what you can use instead is Akaviri Dragon Guard instead of Arcasis. This is a bit selfish set, but this used to be a tanking meta back in the day, years ago. What this does, it gives you magic recovery, fantastic. Healing taken, yeah, why not? Maximum health and health recovery, brilliant. And it reduces the cost of your ultimate abilities by 15%. So if you use it on your back bar, jewelry and back bar, you can spam the Colossus yourself and yourself only, but still, why not? So you can use it on both bars and have the renewing animation cost, because the cost is like huge of this. If I'm not mistaken, this is the most expensive ultimate in the game, 345 ultimate. So with the Akaviri Dragon Guard, you can pretty much reduce it by a lot. Another set that you can use is Warrior Poet, which sometimes you may feel like you need more health, a lot more health. For example, Unhallowed Grave, right? So you can use Crimson Oath, Earth Gore, and Warrior Poet, which gives you health, armor, more health, and even more health. With this, I'm sitting at 50.5k health with 20 points in stamina, right? So this is more than enough for anything, I believe. Now, this is actually a fantastic beginner set, and if you pair Warrior Poet with the Akaviri Dragon Guard on body, Warrior Poet jewelry and weapons, and for example Darkshade Caverns, Engine Guardian monster set, that's one of the best tanking setups for a beginner in the game, in my opinion, because Akaviri Dragon Guard reduces the ultimate cost, provides you with a ton of useful resources, recovery options and stuff. Warrior Poet gives you a lot of health, and Engine Guardian, brilliant, right? So this is the best, in my opinion, tanking setup for beginner. It's cheap, you can buy it in guild stores. I mean, Akaviri Dragon Guard and Warrior Poet, or you can farm it yourself in Eastmarch and Varnfell. Engine Guardian, it's a base game dungeon. Darkshade Caverns, you can farm it yourself, it's pretty easy to get, and you're basically good to go. Now, for the champion points, the green tree, use whatever you want. I use Steed's Blessing, Liquid Efficiency, Rationer, and Treasure Hunter. These two are kind of like a must-have, right? Because you're drinking potion and you're using food, so why not have the food duration increased, and why not have a chance of not consuming the potion? This is, so you can move faster out of combat and keep up with the group, and you can find treasure chests in dungeons, so why not? For the blue tree, take all the passives if you can, like Eldritch Insight, Tireless Discipline, Blessed. Basically, if you have enough champion points, take all the passives. But the slotables are Ironclad, which is down here in Staving Death. Reduces your damage taken by direct damage attack by 2%. The next one is Duelist Rebuff, Enduring Resolve, and Unassailable. These three reduce your damage taken from single targets, damage over time, and AoE attacks. You can also, instead of one of these, I would always take the Ironclad, because like direct damage is the most frequent type of damage in the game. So if you take away one of these and you really need some survivability, you can use focus mending, and that will increase your single target heals with the scythe by a lot. Now for the red tree, we have boundless vitality, more health, fortified, more armor, sustained by suffering, which is down here, which increases your health, magic, and stamina recovery by 30 per stage while under the effect of negative effects. We used to use this one, like everyone used to use this one because it's recovery. But they instead of 150, now it provides you with only 90 recovery if you max it out. This one provides you with 150. And as a tank, you're basically under a negative effect all the time. You're a tank, so yeah. And the last one is bracing anchor, which is down here. While in combat, increases your damage that you can block by 4% per stage, so 20%. It also reduces your movement speed in combat by 16%. Yeah, you're a bit slower, but you can block a lot more damage. So that's about it. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.